Hey gang, things are moving so fast to the political right all over the world. I'm actually having to make 3 videos today on the electoral success that we've seen in just the last few days. We're going to see the latest on the success of right-wing patriot candidates in Latin America and what it means for the growing conservative movement all around the world. You're not going to want to miss this. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patriot professor, here to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you have not already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, if you would, please share this video with friends and family. We are once again being silenced by big tech, so I need your help to get the hopeful message of this channel out to as many people as possible. The nation of Ecuador has just voted in a new conservative president. 35-year-old Daniel Noboa won the presidential election yesterday, decisively beating a far-left lunatic candidate who wanted to align Ecuador with Cuba and Venezuela. Now, what's so interesting here is that the formula for the big win was the same political formula that's been working throughout the Latin American region. Just a few months back, the nation of Chile voted overwhelmingly for their so-called hard right or far right. They won a massive supermajority for the express purpose of changing their constitution to a far more nationalist, populist, and traditionalist document. It was a shock election that responded to an attempt by far leftists to impose a radically woke constitution on Chilean people. In fact, CNN actually called it the single most progressive constitution on the planet. But Chilean patriots fought back, and they ran a campaign that focused on 2 things: wokeness and crime. Wokeness and crime. Those 2 issues delivered massive results in a stunning electoral landslide win for conservative forces. And it was the same in Ecuador. Noboa hammered his opponent as a woke leftist, soft on crime. And he's the hardliner who would restore law and order in the nation, comparable to what El Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele has done for his nation. Many of you heard about El Salvador's new mega prison or super prison that President Bukele built to house upwards of 40,000 prisoners at a single time. A few years back, Bukele, who's a very successful businessman, former mayor of San Salvador, he ran for president as a populist outsider who campaigned on basically draining the swamp of Salvadorian politics and restoring law and order to what had become the single most violent nation on the planet. At one point, El Salvador had the highest murder rate in the entire world, averaging 1 murder per hour. Drug cartels and gangs literally controlled everything. The government was just more or less a passive spectator. But now with Bukele at the helm, all of that has come to a dramatic end. The homicide rate in El Salvador has plummeted. Look at this. Before Bukele came to power, El Salvador averaged 108 murders per 100,000 inhabitants, one of the highest in the world. The murder rate today has plummeted to just 8 murders per 100,000. The murder rate has dropped by more than 90%. And as you saw, one of the reasons for that dramatic drop in the murder rates is Bukele's creation of what's being called a super prison that houses upwards of 40,000 prisoners, many of whom are in prison for the next 40 years for gang-related activity. Bukele's massive crackdown on violent crime has resulted in the arrest of over 64,000 violent criminals, and it's changing El Salvador like never before. And you can see it in Bukele's approval rating. He stands at a whopping 90% approval. He is hands down one of the single most popular national leaders in the world. And so what we're seeing in Ecuador and Chile is what pundits are calling the Bukele effect in Latin America. And there's one more Latin American nation that all eyes will be on this weekend for their presidential election. Wait until you see this. But first, gang, you need to click on that link below and learn how to stick it to the establishment by using their own corruption against them. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Companies like BlackRock have been bribing corrupt politicians like Nancy Pelosi with insider trading secrets for decades now. They know a whole host of trading secrets that gives them an unfair advantage when picking stocks. But did you know that thanks to a little-known SEC database, guess what? we can have access to those very secrets as well. We get to see what stocks these corporate CEOs are buying up in real time, and then we get to piggyback on their trades to gain the same advantage for ourselves that Pelosi and the crooks in D.C. have. My friend Ross Givens has been tracking insider trading for years now, and his recommendations have led to investment returns of over 200%. Some have hit as high as nearly 1,500%. And now it's your turn. Click on that link below right now and learn how you too can learn to trade like Pelosi. Click on that link and learn how to gain an insider advantage for yourself today. The nation of Argentina will be going to the polls this weekend for their presidential election, and the clear frontrunner is the one and only Javier Milei. Milei is often compared to Donald Trump, and not just because of his eccentric hair or his entertaining mannerisms, but also most especially because of his politics. He loves Trump, and he's embraced the comparison. In fact, he's even had his own stint in the world of entertainment. He was a singer in the band Everest, and he's well known across Argentina for their covers of Rolling Stones songs, but he's also a very, very staunch Catholic who seeks to end abortion, and he completely rejects cultural Marxist LGBT ideology. In fact, he once called the current pope a, quote, filthy leftist. He was also recently featured on one of Tucker Carlson's latest episodes on Twitter. Now, Milei is on his way to the presidency at a time when Argentina is experiencing 116% inflation, along with a cost of living crisis that's left 4 in 10 Argentines in poverty. Milei wants to adopt the dollar as the national currency to help stabilize the economy. He wants to abolish Argentina's central bank, which he sees as incurably corrupt. And he wants to promote Bitcoin investment to return currency back to the ownership of the people. He's dominating the polls and is the clear frontrunner going into this weekend's election. So, will Latin America continue this massive swing to the right? Well, all signs suggest yes to that question. And again, it's because of the Bukele effect that seems to be sweeping much of the region. I actually spoke with a person from Venezuela when I was down in Texas. She's a huge patriot conservative. We talked about Bukele and Javier Milei and the Chilean constitution, Bolsonaro. And she just said that more and more Latin Americans believe very organically that with the woke rot of crime and social decay, it's only the nationalist populist right that can put their society back together. In other words, a resounding rejection of all things woke together with restoring law and order are the only solution to the societal decay that comes as a result of everything woke turning to dung in the King James sanitized version. As long as politicians throughout the region hammer on those two themes, wokeness and crime, the Bukele effect won't have just transformed El Salvador. It will have done much to transform the world. Hey gang, I know what it's like to feel alone out there in these turbulent times, but I broke free. If you too have been looking for a community with like-minded patriots who are serious about resisting globalism, building a parallel economy, and having intelligent and deep fellowship on a regular basis, then you've come to the right place. In my Courageous Patriot Insiders community, we're building a close-knit movement of, by, and for patriots who are breaking free from the outrage and despair cycles of the mainstream media and taking on the fight against globalism. Every week, I deep dive into the content I can't share on big tech and give you the cliff notes on the truth of how patriots just like you are building up their communities, starting patriot businesses, and fighting the woke in both public and private. All with a few history and political lessons from yours truly, of course. If you want to stop feeling alone as a patriot and stand together with this fast-growing community, be sure to click on the link in the description below. Don't wait. Join me and my Patriot Coalition today, and let's get fighting.